Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. We have a lot to get to today on the Shannon Joy Show. It is Tuesday, July 2nd, and we have a bunch of stories to go through and a lot to discuss today. On the Shannon Joy Show, of course, you get the truth straight up, no chaser every day on the SJ Show. Not left, not right, just the truth. We're broadcasting live on Rumble. We're on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV. We are live on Facebook, live on Substack, live on Twitter. And of course, you can get the Shannon Joy Show at your leisure via audio on any of your favorite podcast platforms. So it is wonderful to be with all of you today. Hello, Guitar Lily. The very first in the Rumble chat. We have a lot of people lining up in the Rumble chat. Great to see you. Ralph the Flying Dutchman is with us today. Hey, Futurez, great to see you. Mod Trend is with us. Hey, Garth Hilton. Good to see you here on the SJ live chat on Rumble. We have Opossum King. We have CJP Rumble, of course, Ollie Robin 9, and a couple other Live for Your Parish. Great to see you on the live show today with the question, is the show starting late today? I always start a little late. I set the show up for 12:15 p.m. Eastern time every day, and I usually come in around 12:20, maybe 12:22. That is barring any technical difficulty. You guys know that I have been known to mess up my own feed and shut down my feed and make all kinds of mistakes with the production because I am self-produced, but we do our best here on the Shannon Joy Show. You see the headlines for today's show. Organized crime in Washington, D.C. The Biden and Trump cartels have legalized government criminality in every way imaginable. When you think about what the uniparty, these two political parties have done to our Constitution, to our independence, to our sovereignty, to rule of law here in the United States of America over the past 50 years, but really over the past 5 to 10 years, we have seen a serious eroding of our God-given natural rights and a normalization of governmental criminality, everything from fraud to theft to murder, the legalized government killing and culling of populations of people in order to address an emergency. We saw that in the dark days of COVID-19 in 2020. The legal mechanism through the PrEP Act and other executive orders and emergency declarations in the name of battling or waging war against a pandemic, the government has now seized for itself the right to inject us with poison. And if that poison kills us, there's no liability. There's no recourse. No one is held accountable. Not the doctors, not the institutions, not the pharmaceutical companies, not the government itself. So they can legally, according to them, inject 200 million people with poison substances, kill tens of millions of them, and there's no liability for anyone, right? It's legalized murder. It's democide. And that's just the beginning. We have the legalization of theft. I have a piece today that we're going to look at, very important piece from David Leach, the strident conservative. I've linked it in the show notes of today's show. The Trump family is using defense spending to line their pockets and rake in millions, if not billions of dollars. And they're doing so in a way that would make the Biden administration blush. At least Hunter Biden went to Ukraine to conduct his dirty deals and his dirty business. And they did it in secret, right? The difference with the Trump administration, the Trump cartel, the Trump family, is that they are doing all of this in plain sight. It is legalized theft. It is stealing from the American people. It is engaging in fraud, in insider trading, and pump and dumping. It's terrible. And it's right in our faces. And the more we allow them to get away with it, the more they're going to do it. We're seeing the legalized theft of land. I have a story here about the data centers. Very important interviews Daniel Horowitz is doing with people who are on the ground, on the front lines, battling these data centers, and the seizure of land, blanket seizure of hundreds of properties using a bastardized version of eminent domain to literally come in and steal people's land. It's insane. It's brazen. It's theft. It's a violation of the Constitution. It's a violation of our laws, and it's illegal and immoral as well. But all of these things are happening in plain sight. They're doing it right in front of our faces. And every day that they get away with it, as I just mentioned, they become more brazen and more bold. And in this case, the piece that I have here, a man was arrested now. They are now beginning to censor the same type of censorship that we saw during COVID-19, 2020, 21, and 22, where accounts were shut down. People were arrested. I was arrested for violating a mask ordinance at a school board meeting. I was shut down on Twitter, permanently suspended, completely banned or shadow banned on Facebook. We all experienced that. Those of us who were standing up against the illegal, immoral, and unconstitutional lockdown and force injection and coerce injection of millions of Americans, we were arrested. We lost our jobs. We lost our platforms. Many of us lost our businesses, right? The government abused us in the name of battling the super scary global worldwide pandemic, which we know now was a scam. Well, now in the name of the arms race with China and national security, through a variety of emergency declarations, Donald Trump did declare emergency concerning energy usage and the build out of AI. They're now using these legal mechanisms, well, not legal, illegal in my opinion, criminal in my opinion, a cartel in my opinion, but they're using these mechanisms now to seize land. And as Daniel Horowitz so aptly states in his show, this is not about AI. This is not about processing. This is not about compute. This is not about Manhattan-sized data centers. They'll probably never come. They don't need them. This is a bold, in-your-face land grab. And Daniel conducted a very important interview with a young woman out of Georgia named Ainsley Brown, who I'm going to try to get on the Shannon Joy Show to explain exactly how this is going down. It's grotesque. It's criminal. We are dealing, and this is why the headline for today's show, I think we need to start calling a spade a spade. We are dealing with criminal cartels, Democrat and Republicans. For years, the Biden administration turned the public office into a pay-to-play enterprise, foreign deals, influence peddling, and sweetheart contracts that enriched his allies, enriched his family, while eroding not only national security, but also rule of law and our freedoms. Now, he had at least the decency during his administration to do all of this in secret and tried to hide it. The difference now with the Trump administration and the Trump cartel is that they are doing it in plain sight. Now the Trump administration is normalizing this criminality and doing it blatantly. We're going to show today how defense spending and the priorities appear to be aligned. They don't even appear. They are absolutely aligned with family business interests, with relatives positioned in sectors poised to gain from massive Pentagon budget hikes. 50% increase in the budget. And Donald Trump says that this is responsible spending. 50% increase in the defense budget, and a good portion of that is going straight into the pockets of Donald Trump, his family, and their cronies. It is disgusting. It's disgusting. It's a continuation of the Biden administration grift, which was a continuation of the first year Trump administration grift, right? Every year that passes by, as we continue to operate within this uniparty fake electoral system, we allow them to get more and more powerful. And that is why they're taking the mask off. That's why we're seeing this very clearly. That's why Trump is not worried about midterms. For some reason, he's not worried about the midterms. Either his payout is coming and he doesn't care if he's impeached and thrown out. He's just going to head over to his magnate in Gaza and set up his fiefdom there. He already made that deal for himself. So this is dirty, dirty business. We're dealing with dirty, crooked criminal politicians, both sides of the political aisle. And we're going to talk about that today as we work through the show. So we have a devastating piece to go over here from Brownstone Institute, Jeffrey Tucker, good friend of the Shannon Joy Show. He was one who was very optimistic about this presidency, and what Trump was going to do. And slowly but surely, everything that I said he would do, every betrayal that I predicted in the summer of 2024, when the medical freedom community believed his lies and believed that Trump would actually make good on the promises that he was making to the Maha moms, to the medical freedom community, I said to them, it is not going to happen. The only thing that Trump is going to do is betray you. And he's going to drag down your character as well as he does it. And we're watching that in real time. Garth Hilton with a comment on the live chat. Garth, great to see you. Washington, D.C. is gone. Has been for long before I ever realized it. Our federal government are the baddies. Absolutely. It's absolutely true. Both parties, the institutions, D.C. is hostile. They are hostile invaders of the United States of America. They've seized power unconstitutionally, and we have to seize it back. And it's not going to be through the electoral process. I think more and more people are waking up to this. I have some interesting video clips from Megyn Kelly, very good interview with Sean Ryan, very candid interview with Sean Ryan. Now, we understand that Megyn Kelly has run the full gamut with President Donald Trump, and she never really seems to be where we need her to be when it matters, right? But what she's saying right now in identifying where we are in this country is pretty interesting, and we're going to take a look at that. But, we are certainly in revolutionary times. And I don't think that the answers are at the ballot box. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to engage or disengage from electoral politics. As you guys know, I'm running for lieutenant governor here in New York State. It's a long shot. There's probably no chance that I, along with Larry Sharp, can win the governorship of New York State because we're dealing with a rigged electoral system in New York State. So why do I keep engaging? Why am I going out and getting petitions? Why are we filing lawsuits? Why are we continuing this effort? Because I believe that the organizational apparatus necessary to run a campaign or to run a candidate is way more important than the electoral outcome. It's why I went down to Kentucky to work on Thomas Massie's campaign and to deliver the truth to the country about what was really going on in Kentucky. And we saw there oligarchs, billionaires, foreign countries through AIPAC purchased an election. They took out one of the best sitting American Congress people in the country, and they bought an election. They rigged it in that sense. It wasn't necessarily the machines, but it was the propaganda and the way that they were able to commit fraud against the viewers of Fox News and people who are watching mainstream news media, right? But the reason I went down there was not necessarily to get Thomas Massie elected as the Republican candidate to run in the fall of 2026, though that was the goal, and we worked really hard to do that. What was more important was the process, the organization, being in a room or in proximity with other people who share our beliefs so that we can reinforce that we're out of the matrix, so that we can reinforce what is true and real up against what you see every day on the screens, whether it's your phone or your laptop or the TV screen or the movie screen, right? We are living in a time of mass propaganda and incredibly sophisticated, layered propaganda using our own psychographic data and demographic data that they have been compiling now ever since they rolled out social media, right? They have been compiling essentially an avatar. They have a demographic. They have a version of you that exists online that they know they can tweak. And they know how to message to you in a variety of ways, whether it's for consumer marketing, but even more insidious, the politicking. right? So it's so important that we're out there meeting each other. You got to get involved in your own community. You got to go to the meetings. You got to go out and petition. You got to meet your neighbors. You got to go for zoning board and school board and all of those local elections. Even if you don't win, the process of organizing is what they fear. And that is what we have to continue to do. And that's what I've been advocating for 10 years. It's taken my colleagues a very long time to catch up with me. By the way, you guys all know we are so far ahead of everyone else I don't know anyone in news media right now that is as far ahead as we are in terms of, we've been talking about data centers for 2.5 years. We've been talking about the technocracy and techno-fascism for 2.5 years. I called Donald Trump as a Trojan horse infiltrator 10 years ago. Everything that I predicted to all of you has come true. And it's not because I'm that smart. It's because I am truly nonpartisan. I despise the Democrats as much as I despise the Republicans. I don't think there's a lesser of two evil. I think they're both evil. And the longer, and this is, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, the longer that we vote between a lesser of two evils, the closer we come to just plain evil, right? If you do that for a long enough period of time, you just end up with evil and wickedness. And that's what we're dealing with today. A criminal cartel that exists in Washington, D.C., heavy with foreign influence, heavy with billionaire and oligarchical control, pretending to play democracy. D versus R, D versus R. It's not real. It's KFAB. And I have another piece today. Is anyone buying this one? Let's start with this today. So we have a lot to get to. Devastating piece from Brownstone Institute, Jeffrey Tucker. We have an update on data centers and this terrible story of poor Harley DeLander of Dixon, Illinois. He got arrested for promoting a protest on Facebook against data centers. It's crazy. So the censorship is coming. We have, as I mentioned, the strident conservative piece. It's just, it's breathtaking. I mean, the way that the Trump family is completely grifting and just stealing from people is crazy. It's blatant. Mr. Worthless Eater, great to see you. Shannon, you're not a uniparty stooge like most of us here. Well, you guys aren't. If you guys are watching the show, if anyone is watching the show, there's a good chance that you are enlightened and you're one of the, intelligent people out there who has spit yourself out of the two-party political system. CJP Rumble, I see that. Yeah, Garth Hilton, I totally agree with you. By 2028, only our flesh and blood relationships will matter, because our entire feeds will be AI slop directed into our feeds to manipulate far beyond anything we even understand. And I don't disagree with you on that, Garth. I do think that it is possible to engage on social media, but you got to go in with your armor on. You have to go in understanding that almost everything that's being thrown at you is a form of layered and manipulative propaganda. And it's designed like nothing is quite as it seems. And I have a great example of that. Let's launch this show with that story, because we have a great example of the KFAB that is going on in Washington, D.C. And it just happened last night. So I don't know if anyone is watching, but this is dominating the headlines. Donald Trump got into a big fight with Bibi Netanyahu and dropped the F-bomb and called him effing crazy. So this story broke on Axios. And apparently the story was leaked. The audio was leaked of Donald Trump raging at Bibi Netanyahu about a recent strike in Lebanon. And so according to the Axios piece, which has been pushed out everywhere, Donald Trump is he's really mad at Bibi. And they're in a big fight. He said, "You're effing crazy. You'd be in prison if it weren't for me," apparently, said Donald Trump. "I'm saving your you know what? Everybody hates you now. Everybody hates Israel because of this," says Donald Trump to Bibi Netanyahu. And my question is anyone buying this? I mean, are you this is like, come on. Like, this is straight up kayfabe, fake fighting, WWE wrestling. Do we really believe, is this kind of like the time that Donald Trump and Elon Musk got in a big fight? Remember, Elon stomped out of the White House and he left forever because Donald Trump wasn't doging enough, right? And now we know they're still completely in cahoots. They're working together, but every so often you got to pretend you're fighting. This is great news. It's great news because it means that the messaging about Israel, which is this, basically, you are not an anti-Semite, you are not anti-Jewish if you critique the nation of Israel and its government and the wars that they are creating in the Middle East. If you believe, like myself, that the United States government should not be giving billions upon billions of dollars to a foreign country to wage wars in foreign lands, well, that's okay. You can say that and not be labeled an anti-Semite. Now, there's been a desperate attempt by those on, the side of AIPAC and Israel to pigeonhole every one of us, every person who critiques that, as an anti-Semite or a Jew hater. And that's just completely false. But there's another element, an equally propagandized element that is trying to radicalize people who come to that conclusion, right? People like Nick Fuentes, right? And they're trying to bring those people in and make this all about the Jews, right? So it's villain casting the Jews on one side and victim casting the Jews on the other side. And neither of those sides are true. Again, here we are in a Hegelian dialectical situation of false choices. Like, you don't have to be either. You can be a normal person and not want to send hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel to wage more wars. And that's it. And the fact that that messaging is getting out and that more and more normal people are saying, no, we don't hate Jews. We believe that Israel has a right to exist. If you want to go to war, go ahead. We can oppose that, though, by the way, because there are a lot of concerns about what Israel is doing with this war. But here's the deal. Because that normalized message is getting out, well, now they have to, create a new scenario. And I think that's what's going on with this fake fight between Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. Now, Mark Levin, there was a very good, and Thomas Massey even came out on this. He's absolutely right. So he retweeted the Fox News story about the fake fight. And this is what Thomas Massey said. He said, it's all talk. It's all talk. Let's cut through the clutter right now. Just withhold foreign aid to Israel for 1 month and they will stop bombing their neighbors. Instant peace. The Strait of Hormuz can be opened and gas drops $2 a gallon. Israel has been and continues to be the biggest welfare recipient from American taxpayers. That's very simple. It's not Nick Fuentes telling you that all the Jews are a problem. You don't have to go down some deep, dark conspiracy rabbit hole to know what is really going on here. And that's what they need to put a lid on. That's why we always have these false choices. That's why it's always a matter of choosing. Choose a side. You either love Israel or you hate Israel. You're either pro-Jew or anti-Jew. Those are false choices. But as you begin to understand this, and it is the Hegelian dialectic, it's a series of false choices, predetermined outcomes, and they work us through to those predetermined outcomes by making us choose between false choices. They control both sides of the issue, the pro side and the anti side, right? And it's very manipulative, very strategic, but more and more people are waking up to this. And once you understand that mechanism, you're going to begin to see in almost every issue, Democrat versus Republican, pro-war versus anti-war. They always want the crazies on either side so that they can draw you in. And so we have to resist that. But this was, and I think that this guy Noodles on Twitter, it's actually Crypto Paul. He has about 100,000 followers on Twitter. And I think he nailed it with what was going on between the fake fight between Bibi Netanyahu and Donald Trump. So Donald Trump put on a big show because remember, he is a WWE wrestler. He is in the Wrestling Hall of Fame, All right. So Donald Trump put on a really great show, getting on the phone and screaming at Bibi and screaming out, the F word and the A word and all the things. But none of it's real. And this is what noodlesresearch.com. He's a market intelligence outlet. He does macro, geopolitics, crypto equity, real-time feed and research. It's pretty good. Okay. He's got about 100,000 followers. And I think that Crypto Paul nailed it here. And this is what he had to say. Let's decode what actually happened here in terms of the fake fight between Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump. Axios reported that Trump exploded onto Netanyahu, called him effing crazy, said you'd be in prison if it weren't for me, blah, blah, blah. The journalist at Axios is actually a guy named Barak Ravid, and he's been a permanent fixture in all of this. He's based in Washington. He covers the Netanyahu-U.S. relationship for Axios. And every single time something goes on, like with these new deals on Mondays, he's there. So this is the same journalist who wrote the exact same type of story. Listen up, guys, because here it is. This is the same journalist who wrote the exact same type of story about Biden. There is literally a book chapter about this pattern. It's called Fuming Biden. The same reporter, the same format, the same function, different president. Both the left and the right and the media covering up. He goes on. Watch the response. Mark Levin, a close ally of both Trump and Netanyahu, not only didn't deny the story, he demanded an FBI investigation into who leaked it. Okay. And he has a tweet, all caps, Mark Levin, the leak in Axios was a violation of federal law and provided support to the Iranian regime and its Hezbollah proxy. Whoever leaked the story did a grave disservice to our country, to our president, to Israel, blah, 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 blah. That's Mark Levin. Okay. So he said, and this guy, Crypto Paul, goes on, he says, when your defense is that this never should have been leaked instead of this never happened, you have confirmed the call happened. But here's the part that matters. He said, why would Levin, a friend to both men, confirm the most explosive account of their relationship ever published? And here's the key point. Because it serves them both. Trump gets to look tough, not Netanyahu's puppet. He gets to appease some of the critics, right, on the right, who are not okay with sending billions of dollars to Israel. In fact, J.B. Sears came out and said, J.B. Sears has just started to criticize President Trump over the past couple months about his relationship with Israel and the support of Israel. And he's put out a couple really killer videos. Well, just today, J.D. Spears came out, or is it J.B. or J.D.? I think it's J.B. Came out on Twitter and said, I totally agree with the president. Thank you, Mr. President, right? So this serves President Trump because those critics who are beginning to get really effective and really impactful with their messaging are now back on Trump's team, right? He has convinced them, at least for a time, that he's really mad at Bibi Netanyahu and he's going to string them along. So Trump gets to look tough. He's not Netanyahu's puppet, and he's willing to put Israel in its place. His base loves it. Yeah, this is what we voted for. We told you Trump wasn't going to let anyone push him around. Yeah, it took him a little bit of time. Yeah, we've already deployed hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel. Yeah, we've already, expended a lot of our resources into the Middle East to wage this war on behalf of Israel. But that doesn't matter because look at Trump now. He's standing up to Bibi, right? And Bibi Netanyahu gets cover, right? He paused the Beirut strike, but not because Iran threatened him, because his friend asked him to. His base loves it too. And look what actually changed on the ground. Absolutely nothing. Nothing has changed. It's just the razzle dazzle. It's just the show. It's just the continued manipulation of their bases, the dangling of the carrot of some type of event that is going to make all of this stop that never ever comes, right? It's a performance. It's WWE wrestling. It's totally fake. And he goes on to say the performance was perfect. Trump gets the headline. Netanyahu gets the cover. The deal gets another 48 hours of press. The markets get a little room to breathe. And the war continues exactly as planned. The grift continues exactly as planned. Another pump and dump on the horizon this Friday to Monday. Another excuse to drop another 100 to 200 to 300 billion on this insane war and also stuff their pockets in the meantime, right? It's the same playbook. Every time public opinion turns against the war, a story appears showing the US president is furious with Israel. It creates the illusion of restraint while changing nothing. Biden was furious for 14 months. The war never stopped. Trump is furious now. The ground invasion is expanding. The visible game is Trump controls Netanyahu, but the real game is both men are performing for their audiences while the machine moves forward, writes at Crypto Paul on Twitter. Excellent analysis. I agree with him 100%. He says nothing has been signed, nothing has stopped. The war is not winding down. It is being managed. Neither one controls the other. They're both being controlled. They are working together. Know that. And you can find this on Twitter. His handle is at crypto, CRIPTO Paul. Excellent analysis here. Absolute truth. I've witnessed this listen, I've been doing this show for 13 years, and I have witnessed this for the entirety of the Shannon Joy Show. So yeah, let's not waste 1 second on that fake ass fight between Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. Not real. I'm declaring shenanigans, and I think you guys should too. Mr. Worthless Eater, yes, this is a good PSYOP analysis. I would recommend that you download that, print it out, and understand what is going on in context of this particular PSYOP, because you can apply this to almost everything that we're going to see out there. There's never really the truth. And I was really happy to see that Tom Massey got it immediately. He got it immediately, and he essentially said the same thing. Remember what Thomas Massey said in response. He said, "It's all talk," meaning, from my perspective, this is not real. This is not a real fight. This is a fake fight. It's all talk. And then he goes in, and this is the dagger. This is the dagger. Just withhold foreign aid to Israel for 1 month, says Thomas Massey, and they'll stop bombing their neighbors. Instant peace. Peace is not that complicated. They want you all to think that this is highly complicated, that it's 12-dimensional chess. The truth is not that complicated. He even says the Strait of Hormuz can be opened. Gas drops to $2 a gallon. Israel has been and continues to be the biggest welfare recipient for American taxpayers. Just cut it off, right? That's why they had to get rid of Thomas Massey, okay? Because those are real solutions. Those are bipartisan solutions. This war is opposed by 80 to 90% of the American population. They've stopped running polls on this war because it's so bad. No one wants this war. Democrats don't want this war. Republicans don't want this war, at least the constituents. Not the people in Washington, D.C., because they're making a ton of money off of it. Ollie Robin 9. Yep, those shenanigans. Ollie Robin 9 has this to say. Trump knew the cost he's always known. It cost him the soul of his son Barron. It's why Trump even had a kid late in life. Yeah, listen, it's crazy. Johnny Reb 1860, great to see you again on the live chat. Hey, Honor Seeker, great to see you as well. JP Sears, thank you, Honor Seeker. Garth Hilton, it's a soap opera. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's crazy. Honor Seeker says this, but would Trump not be alienating his Zionist base by saying that? No, I think the people in the know, the funders, the oligarchs, the shady backer billionaires, the people behind AIPAC, they know what this is. They know this is a fake fight. So no, this is not going to alienate Trump from his Zionist base by saying it. And I would say that there aren't a lot of people out there. Regular people are not like, hey, let's put all of American interests aside, literally all of them, and just do everything to help and protect and sustain Israel. Let's be Israel first instead of America first. No one real is saying that. There are just spokespeople like Mark Levin, who are out there saying those things. And it gives the illusion, and then obviously massive bot and troll farms all over social media, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Insta, you name it, the bot and troll farms are out there. And so they come out, they're deployed, they're not real, but it gives regular lay people who are actually using social media the illusion that there's this mass swell of support for the United States involvement in Israel's war with Iran. And it's just not the case. Regular people are not for this, but that's part of the illusion. That's part of the game. This is why I say we have to get off of the screens and into the real world. And that's what I'm loving about this data center pushback, by the way. It is getting people, it is uniting Democrats and Republicans. And I live for these things. I absolutely live for them. There is a great, there are clips all over. I'm gonna have to do a whole show of clips about data centers because this really is going to be the defining issue, I think, of 2026 and probably 27 and 28. This is the most brazen, blatant land grab we have ever witnessed in the United States of America, ever. Amazingly, on the 250th birthday of the formation of our country, the framing of our Constitution, and the signing of our Constitution, the ratification, and here we are with, probably the single greatest threat to property ownership and land rights that we've ever seen. We're going to talk about that in a bit. But again, they couldn't do it with just one party. The only way this works is by trading power, by these two parties, Democrat and Republican, trading power every 4 years so that they can create a new type of paradigm where in basically a new storyline where people are frightened of the other side. They've got to keep this going until it's impossible. And that moment is coming, I think. I think that, we are accelerating towards that moment for sure. Anyway, there's also, there is evidence that, the Trump administration is losing his base really fast. In fact, let's look at that piece. When we come back, let's look at the piece from Megyn Kelly. So we got through that story. We also have we have a lot to get to today. So buckle up, guys. We're going to go to a quick break. And then I have a couple Megyn Kelly clips from the Sean Ryan interview, which is pretty interesting. Now, we have to take Megyn Kelly with a grain of salt, as you know, because she's been all over the place in terms of whether she likes or hates Donald Trump. And it always seems like she's never at the place where we need her to be at the moment we need her to be there, right? Like when we needed people like Megyn Kelly to be raging against lockdowns and the rollout of the poison shots and Operation Warp Speed, she was nowhere to be found. When we needed Alex Jones, he was nowhere to be found. Rush Limbaugh, nowhere to be found. The Republican Party, they were all hiding underneath their desks, right? Not coming to Congress to do their job for the first, it was the entirety of Trump's administration and the first half of Biden's administration. So they only began to trot out when they were losing control of the narrative. And that's when we saw people like Megyn Kelly coming back in. Now, I don't know her intentions. I do not try to understand why people take the positions that they take. I really don't care. But if they're taking a truth position, I'm interested in what they have to say. And some of the things that she said to Sean Ryan, I thought were pretty interesting. So we're going to come back. We're going to look at some of those. And then I have a bunch of other stories to get to as well. If you guys have questions or comments when we come back, I'm going to take a look at the comment section. So thankful for all of the audience. If you're watching on Twitter or YouTube, thank you so much. You guys are great. And I'm going to see if I can find some of those comments and read them as well. So if you're watching on YouTube, please let me know, say hello, hit the chat box or leave a comment and I'll read them in the next break. If you have questions, I love to answer questions as well. So, hey, Max Glickman, great to see you too on the live chat. We're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue right here on the Shannon Joy Show. And today I want to talk to you guys about ivermectin. I'm using their ivermectin cream right now, and it has been a lifesaver for rosacea. I haven't been dealing with acne or anything like that recently, but as I've aged, my skin has gotten bumpy and red sometimes, itchy, and I've been dealing with rosacea. The ivermectin cream from TWC is absolutely knocking it out. In fact, it started working within a day or two of using it, and I have not had any problems since. If you think you're dealing with bad skin as an adult and acne, you might be dealing with something else, an untreated root cause. And it starts small. If you're like me, it's a little redness, a few bumps, and then it expands, and then it becomes consistent and persistent. You go through the cycle of doctor appointments trying to figure out what's going on, one product after another, and you're not alone. So 25% of adults struggle with acne, and more than 14 million Americans battle rosacea. 1 in 10 people suffer from chronic dermatitis or eczema. So these are not just cosmetic issues. They itch, they burn, and they crush confidence. And I have been dealing with this for many years. I can't believe how well the ivermectin cream works. It's called Clear Skin Ivermectin Cream from the wellness company. It's a dermatologist designed prescription formula that targets the root cause safely, gently, and under the skin. So it helps to clear your clogged pores and brighten the skin. It reduces inflammation, and it helps control bacterial overgrowth to calm in irritation. It's amazing. I love this product. You can have it too. Go to twc.health/joy. That's twc.health/joy. Use the promo code JOY. You'll save $20 off plus free shipping in your first for your first order. So that's twc.health/joy. twc.health/joy. And let me tell you, it doesn't help. It doesn't help to have to be on the video every single day. You know, I used to be a podcaster, and that was great. I could come in my pajamas with my hair everywhere, don't have to do hair and makeup. It was just audio, radio, and podcast. And ever since platforming out to all of these video platforms, it matters a little bit more, and you want to have that confidence. I want to have that confidence. So I'm super thankful to the folks over at TWC. The ivermectin cream is an absolute miracle worker. So thank you to the wellness company and all of our sponsors here in the Shannon Joy Show. Hey everyone, I just want to take a moment to thank one of my longtime friends, associates, my financial advisor, and a beloved sponsor of the Shannon Joy Show, Dom Polano over at PCM and Associates. Dom Polano, as many of you know, was the very first Shannon Joy Show advertiser almost 12 years ago, and he's been with us ever since. I trust Dom Polano. He manages some of my assets and my retirement fund, and he's offering his services to all of you. He can take clients anywhere in the country and even across the globe over at PCM and Associates. And as you guys know, it is so important today. There's so much volatility and chaos. You need a human being, a person that you trust, and a person that shares your values. And that's Dom Polano at PCM and Associates. So if you are looking for someone to help you manage your retirement or have investment advice, please consider calling Dom Polano over at PCM and Associates. His number, 1-800-536-1368. That's 1-800-536-1368. And of course, you can go to PCMPolano.com. That is PCMPolano.com to learn about all of his services and get in contact with his team. Again, so thankful for Dom Polano at PCM and Associates. And I think that you are really going to appreciate his services. So that number again, 1-800-536-1368 for a financial advisor that you can trust. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. And I definitely want to give a little bit of love to our growing YouTube audience. For those of you who have joined me on the YouTube live chat, I'm so glad you guys are here. So we have Sharon Zarlock. Great to see you, Sharon. And I love this comment. You are not kidding about legalized crime. Trump and Biden are the worst leaders of this demonic nonsense that just keeps getting worse. All the Trump lovers just keep going crazy for Trump. It's absolutely true. In order to understand what is going on today in the United States of America, you have to understand that there's no such thing as Democrat versus Republican. They are two sides of the same coin. They are no different from one another, and they work together to divide us. Like, that is the key point. It's the key concept that so many Americans have so much trouble grasping, especially the older ages. So 65 plus, the boomer generation, very, very entrenched within their partisan politics, very hard to rip them away from, the politicians and the political parties that they grew up with. I would say Gen X and younger were actually much less sticky. And I would say most of us pretty much despise all politicians at this point. So things are changing, Sharon. They are changing. Deepwater One, great to see you on the live chat here on YouTube. Tried to warn MAGA about Trojan Trump. I sure did, and I know you did as well. Rick Pa, great to see you. Sharp Joy 2026. We're going to have some updates for you on the status of our campaign. As you guys know, I am running along with Larry Sharp in New York State for governor of New York State. He's running for governor. I'm running alongside him as lieutenant governor. It's a huge long shot, but we're going to go for it here in New York. And Rick, I appreciate your support there. Deepwater One has this to say. I believe Iran, Israel, and U.S. are colluding together in the Iran war, just like they colluded together in Iran, Contra, and COVID. Deepwater, I agree with you. I think that this is a massive kind of fake fight, fake-ish war designed to create an energy crisis, an inflation crisis, a famine crisis. And we actually have, I have a piece here from Peter Schiff. He retweeted, this is just devastating, from Mark for double X on Twitter, from the Chevron CEO. Physical oil shortages have begun and prices will follow. So the chickens are about to come home to roost on the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. And it's going to be incredibly painful for us here in the United States of America. And they did this to us on purpose. Controlled demolition. The calls are coming from inside the house. It's our own government waging war against our Constitution, our country, the United States of America, our republic, and the good citizens, the people of this country. And in order for us, I think the only solution here, again, I engage in electoral politics for the organizational purposes because we have to organize. Organization is going to give us strength in numbers, and strength in numbers is going to be necessary when we need to deploy what is actually going to end this once and for all. And that is massive civil disobedience, massive peaceful noncompliance, a refusal to engage in the pageantry of fake elections. I would love to see a tax revolt. I would love to see boycotts, civil disobedience, a refusal to comply with unjust, unconstitutional, and immoral laws coming from Washington, D.C. And I see you, one misanthrope, the district of corruption. That's what is going to save America. And we cannot do that alone. If you engage in peaceful noncompliance, civil disobedience alone, they can pick you off. We need enough of an organization so that enough of us at the same time, Democrat and Republican, black and white, young and old, male and female, from sea to shining sea, are able to revolt peacefully through a withdrawal of our consent in a variety of ways. The culture and the market raging against these people who are trying to manipulate everything and control us and move us into a techno-feudal slave state, which is not good for anyone, right? That's what it's going to take. The reason we can't do that is because it's been somewhat impossible to organize because they have been so successful in the sophisticated propaganda which has divided us. And they've done this for almost 100 years, right? From, the black and white, male, female, you name it. They have embarked upon the politics of division, and it's worked. But I think we're going to find each other very soon. So again, thank you to everyone. Okay, we're up to, I love that, on YouTube. We keep increasing our viewer counts, and I appreciate all of you. If you're watching on YouTube right now, please thumbs up, join the live chat, leave a comment, join the chat. That's how we grow the algorithm. Same with all of you on Rumble. I also have the Rumble live chat up, and we also have a nice little audience growing on Twitter as well. So if you guys are watching on X, please repost, comment, share, repost, comment, share. Keep it up because that is how we grow here on the Shannon Joy Show. So I want to talk about, this is so devastating. We have 3, what are we going to get to here? Did we want to get to the Megyn Kelly videos? I think we do. Let's do that first, because we have, this will play into our conversation about where the culture is going and where politics are going. Absolutely, there is a major, major pushback against the policies of Donald Trump. He is alienating larger and larger swaths of his base, and he doesn't seem to care about it, which should concern everyone. This is why I've been talking about shenanigans for the midterm elections. The possibility, the very real possibility, and everyone needs to understand that I would put this at 50-50 at this point, that Donald Trump will try to declare some type of emergency or to declare war on something in order to cancel the elections in November, right? And essentially install a new dictatorial regime, which, by the way, is being built up, says Dre Dossier. If you're not following Dre on Substack, she has been doing deep dive after deep dive on the ballroom. What is being built underneath the ballroom? All of the military contracts, nothing about what they're saying is true. All of the propaganda about the ballroom is a cover for something even more disastrous. And what Dre Dossier is beginning to piece together, her operating thesis, we'll get into this a little bit in a little more detail, maybe tomorrow or the next day, but her operating thesis is that through Doge, starting with Doge, then the big beautiful bill, then all of the executive orders, and now the emergency declarations for energy, and the AI arms race with China, now culminating with the building of a massive, massive underground structure, a data center, and also a potential bunker or like an operational system underneath the ballroom in Washington, D.C. Dre Dossier is asserting that this is the erection of a parallel government, that Palantir, Peter Thiel, the United States military, intelligence agencies, and the tech bros, the outside oligarchs and outside corporations are building now a new parallel governmental system that will be run and essentially by artificial intelligence and controlled by just a few people at the top. And that's coming. There's going to be some type of emergency, whether it's an economic collapse, World War III, who knows what it's going to be, but that's going to set in place now the new digital currency, the digital ID, and the techno-fascist police surveillance state. So I tend to think that theory has a lot of legs, and we're going to look into it in a little bit more detail. But we've been saying that to you here on the Shannon Joy Show for many, many years. We've been telling you that Donald Trump has no agency. He's a puppet, and that he's also a Trojan horse. And that's what's so disastrous about the stickiness of the cult that worships Donald Trump. Because outside of the bots and trolls, he still has a vice-like grip on adults 65 plus, the boomer generation within the Republican Party. It's making it very difficult for us to get the word out about what is really happening. But we're going to continue to try to do so. But this is what the good news in all of this is, that there is, the 65 plus boomer crowd, but there's also this emerging cultural movement of below 65. So Gen X, millennials, Zoomers, Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever it is, it's basically everyone else. It's everyone else besides that class. And Futurez, Futurez, I see you on the live chat. Futurez says, Shannon always criticizes Trump, but never the Jewish billionaires here in the US controlling our politics or government. I just think that calling them Jewish billionaires, Futurez, is a little naive, right? Because it's a very narrow subset of a lot of billionaires and oligarchs and power structures that control our politicians. When you narrow it to just the views and you victim cast or villain cast them in either way, you're missing the larger picture. I think there are a lot of bad guys out there. Some of them are Jewish, some of them are Muslim, some of them are atheists, some of them are Christian. You have Black villains and white villains and male villains and female villains, and there are people in positions of power who are controlling things. To say that it's just the Jews, I think, is naive. And that's why I don't always focus in on the Jews, because I don't think it tells the whole story or the full picture. Are there some Jewish billionaires with nefarious agendas that are trying to control populations, or that are trying to control politicians? Yeah, there are. Future as who took down Massey? Well, I think about $10 million came from AIPAC, which is an organization that lobbies for Israel. And then the other 12 million, which was more than the 10 million Future as, came from Trump aligned super PACs that did not have ties to any Jewish organizations. So 10 million from AIPAC and 12 million from other Trump aligned Donald Trump super PACs. And last time I checked, Donald Trump is not a Jew. All right? That's my point. You've just made my point, Future as. It was a lot of people working together to steal an election for Donald Trump. All right? Not just the Jews. And when it's just the Jews, that's how you get distracted. It really irritates me. I don't care about bloodlines. I don't care about the conspiracy theorists. We're not going there here. That's exactly what Massey said, Future as. Massey talked about AIPAC, but he also talked about other organizations. So we're just not going to go there. Not going there. Hey, hi, King Alan. Great to see you on the live chat. Oh, by the way, thank you to Honor Seeker. Thank you so much for your donation on the live chat. $50 in a contribution. Never stop what you're doing, Shannon, as long as your heart is on fire. Really appreciate you, Honor Seeker. That's awesome. Thank you for that contribution. And yeah. So anyway, let's go to this. Let's talk about that, because AIPAC is involved. There certainly are Israel-aligned organizations that are seeking to control our politicians. And this is something that was talked about by Megyn Kelly. Really interesting interview, candid interview between Megyn Kelly and Sean Ryan. Now, remember, we got to take everything that Megyn Kelly says with a grain of salt. John Ziegler, because she's now firmly off the Trump train, it seems. She's off the Trump train. So is Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh had this to say: pretty much all of the prominent voices who supported the Iran war assured us that it would be over by now. Matt Walsh works for Ben Shapiro, who owns Daily Wire. And so Ben Shapiro has been one of the biggest war hawks, neocons, pushing Donald Trump into the Iran war on behalf of Israel. He's like a mini Mark Levin. That's Ben Shapiro. He's been completely wrong on all of this. Matt Walsh works for him. And 17 hours ago, Matt Walsh said this: pretty much all of the prominent voices who supported the war in Iran assured us that it would be over by now. None of them will admit they were wrong. Even less will they admit that their initial assurances were based on nothing but their own wish casting. This whole shit show, writes Matt Walsh, has been an enormous waste of time and resources, and our country has not benefited from it at all. Its advocates have moved the goalposts repeatedly and have even to this day refused to clearly articulate what constitutes a victory and how we will know it has been achieved. Now, Matt Walsh is now echoing the sentiment of J.P. Sears and other very prominent, used to be pro-Trump influencers and media people, in withdrawing his support from the war in Iran on behalf of Israel. And so again, this is why it is tweets like this that I think are the reason that Donald Trump had his fake fight with Bibi Netanyahu over the phone last night, swearing at him, telling him he should be in jail, calling him effing crazy. That's all performative. It's not real. It's based on the pushback from the base, starting with Tom Massey and now trickling out to other aspects as well. And by the way, Matt was wrong about this too. But Thomas Massey, by the way, responded to that and said, I hope that you get to keep your job after this post. I love Thomas Massey Unleashed. Thomas Massey, with only 7 months to go as a sitting U.S. congressman, Unleashed is my favorite Thomas Massey ever. More of it. Same with Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's just great. So Anomaly, Legendary Energy, he's been on my show before as well. He's awesome. And he responded to that. He said, Matt is allowed to keep his job as long as he only says this type of thing once every few weeks and then spends most of his energy complaining about music concerts with the attention to detail he never seems to have with the Israeli lobby. It's so true. It's so true. These guys are saying these things, and I would say Megyn Kelly included. I don't know for sure. They're saying these things because the culture is moving. It's because of you and me. It's because what you are saying, you guys are resisting their messaging. You're resisting the false choices. You're onto the Hegelian dialectic. You understand that the D's and the R's are playing for the same, the D's and the R's are playing for the same team. You know how manipulative social media is. You know about the propaganda. And that is forcing people like Matt Walsh and Megyn Kelly to get out there and say these things. They're reading the tea leaves. They're seeing where the culture is going. They're seeing where the market is going, and they're now trying to capture it again, right? We, the people, have moved ahead of them, and now they're scrambling to catch up with us. And this is precisely why we had the fake fight between Bibi and Donald Trump, because they're trying now to reset and control that narrative. It's getting more and more difficult for them to do that, and that's a great thing. But this is what Megyn Kelly had to do. Now, from my perspective, I don't care why you do it. Right? Megyn Kelly, welcome to the truth. Jump in. The water is warm. Glad to have you on the side of truth right now. And so this is what she had to say to Sean Ryan about what core MAGA is and where the culture is going. And I think she's right. Let's take a look.
There is, what's core MAGA now?
I have no idea.
I think I know. Trump has said from the beginning...
Pedophile supporting Israeli lobby? I have no idea.
Yeah, need a different acronym. But Trump has said from the beginning that he defines what MAGA is. MAGA is what I say it is, he has said. And he's not wrong. It's his moniker. It's his campaign slogan. And all along, he's defined what is and is not MAGA. And he told me personally, MAGA will feel the way I want them to feel. I'll tell them how to feel about this, that, or the other thing. And they will. And he has been totally right on that. The problem for Trump now is that he has defined MAGA literally to those who agree with Mark Levin. If you don't agree with Mark Levin, you're not MAGA, which means you must be a neocon whose main issue is what's in the best interests of Israel. And that defines MAGA down to nothing. It's a nub. So what's that? It's not large. It's not important. It's not cool. It's not appealing to young people. It has no future. Much like Mark Levin himself, it's old, it's angry, and it's dying. Yep. And so those are the people who, like, the die-hard loyalists who will just feel the way Trump wants them to feel are the ones who are harassing you for saying what you think about Thomas Massie. They're entitled to their opinion, but they do not represent the Republican Party. They don't represent the right, and they definitely don't represent the future.
I'm not sure what she means by the Republican Party or the right. I don't know how to define the Republican Party right now or the right. That's a construct that was defined essentially by Rush Limbaugh and Fox News 20 years ago, 25 years ago, even longer. So I think there's something even bigger than where are the Republicans going to go? I think that something major is happening within, as I mentioned, the under 65 population of the United States of America. We are the ones who are going to inherit this disaster. It's our children who are going to potentially own nothing and be happy, forced into 15-minute cities, surveilled with their money controlled digitally, their IDs controlled digitally. Like this, that's the dystopia that is being pitched. That's what Trump, the Trojan horse, is ushering in. And so I think that she's right in a sense, but I think it's bigger than what defines republicanism. Republicans might go the way of the Whigs in the next couple of years because of all of this. And if they do, it's a good thing. It's a great thing. Another party comes in, and we start it all over again. But hopefully in that process, we get to some truth. So it's going to be really interesting to watch. She also had this to say about Fox News, which I thought was interesting. Take a look.
I love watching it collapse.
I mean, it's already like all but there. Like you look at when I was on Fox News in the prime time, which was, 2016 or so, those years around that. You looked at the advertising on the Kelly File, it was like American Express, BMW, like all the blue chip brands. And while the daytime at Fox still had like the Christy Lane commercials of her singing on a beach and you should buy her CD. Really, you just thought you had mesothelioma if you watched too much cable at the time. Probably still today. But there were blue chip brands all over the prime time. Not anymore. It's very different now. And that's because they don't have as big an audience. They don't command those kinds of advertisers.
What were the numbers when you were on?
Oh my God. I think when I left, I don't know, we were averaging like 4.5 million a night and like 700,000 or 800,000 in the demo. I recently looked at this. And now it's just way down. Now you're in the 2 millions. It's not that we didn't have nights like that, or low periods.
So they're half what they used to be.
Yeah, just about. But not just.
Yep. So that's a market thing. That is a very real market issue that Fox News, they've pigeonholed themselves into the 65 plus Donald Trump demo. And make no mistake, 10 years ago when Donald Trump first came into the Oval Office and his first 4 years as president, I mean, it made people ridiculously wealthy. People who tethered themselves. Sometimes I think back and wish, maybe I should have joined the Trump train 10 years ago, because I was offered a seat on the bus to go down to Washington, D.C. And at the time, I didn't believe he was going to win the nomination. And then I didn't believe he was going to win the presidency. And I'm like, oh, hell no, there's no way, because I had done my deep dive. But looking back, I'm glad I didn't know that this would have been a 10-year thing and that people would have gotten so fabulously wealthy. Because really, if you tethered to Donald Trump, you got rich. And the influencers and the media people and the commentators that carried the baggage and the weight for Donald Trump made a lot of money. And Megyn Kelly probably made some money too as well. I'm not sure how these things work, but during the nomination process, I mean, she was joined up with all the Maha moms, and I think she was at the inauguration, and this is a huge evolution for her. In 2015, she had a huge feud with Trump, as you remember, and then she came full circle, complete 180 in about 10 years. She went from huge feud with Trump to like full ultra MAGA. She might as well have put the hat on. And now, I mean, in the span of 1 year, she has gone, she's done another complete 180. And so, I mean, again, you got to take everything that she says with a grain of salt, because she's not consistent. At the very least, I've been consistent for the past 13 years. Has not been lucrative, by the way, but I have been consistent. And, all of this is happening because the mask is coming off. People are beginning to wake up to all of this, and they're beginning to see the ramifications of 100 years of the false duopoly and the two-party system in the last 10 years, especially since COVID, the last 5 years, 6 years, a complete degradation of opportunity and happiness for the American people. Everything is worse. And this piece is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. We're going to talk about the criminal activities. This piece from David Leach, the Strident Conservative, really, really good about, just the breathtaking grift, breathtaking plunder happening by the Trump administration and his cronies, using the Department of War, using the military budget, using the war in Iran. It's just terrible. It's terrible. But this is devastating. This is from Brownstone Institute. This is 7 pages printed out, but I do have an overview here. This is horrifying. Since lockdowns, there has been a 12% GDP loss and 50%, 50%, of US dollar purchasing power stolen. This is a major piece. Jeffrey Tucker wrote it for Brownstone. He's an economist, 7 pages, and they go into detail about the reality for the average American. And we have been told, we've been gaslit for 6 years. We've been told that the economy was fantastic by the Biden administration, even better, a golden era economy by the Trump administration in the first year and a half. And it's been the exact opposite. It's been golden for the 0.01% of connected cronies to Washington, D.C., both administrations. For the vast majority of the American people, it's been a disaster, an absolute disaster. And here are some of the key points from Jeffrey's article. The lockdowns of 2020 caused massive hidden economic damage that official government entities still continue to downplay. So they are still gaslighting us. But this is horrifying. Things like factory shutdowns, massive amounts of money printing, broken supply chains, school closures, and general fear have hurt the economy in ways that have not been reported, way more than they have reported. They focused primarily on the stock market. Stock market's at 51,000. That's it. Every other indicator besides the stock market has been absolutely abysmal. This is horrifying. The US dollar has lost about half of its buying power since the lockdowns. Roughly 40 to 50% drop from 2019 to 2025. That means $1 today buys only about what 50 cents did before. Official numbers are saying that it's only a 26%. A 26% loss is what they're admitting. That's devastating. That's outrageous. That's legalized theft through money printing. That's the cartel. It's horrible. It's just crazy. Real life impact, he says, this is why your wages feel flat or down for many. 1 in 4 professionals are not getting raises anymore. Families now absolutely need 2 incomes to maintain what one used to cover. Consumer confidence is terrible. I mean, in the toilet. Kids are suffering big learning losses from those lockdowns that we still have not overcome. And it is a permanent ramping down, a permanent downshift. And I have a feeling they're going to continue to ramp us down until we say no. It doesn't get better from here, guys, for the little people. When we teach them and train them that they can abuse us, they can lie to us, they can commit fraud, they can steal from us, they can propagandize us using our own government against us, they can lock us down, they can coerce inject us, they can force inject us, they can poison us, they can kill us. And we're not going to do anything about it because, I'm a Democrat or a Republican, or it's my guy now. I need a villain as bad as your villain to go in and beat him up. Like, if we continue to play this game, it only emboldens them. And they're going to ramp us down again. And so at some point, we're going to have to rip the Band-Aid off and find each other. Yes, you're going to have to adopt a Democrat or a Republican and become friends. And we need to work together for common sense, for our Constitution, for common sense principles of decency, transparency, right? A recapture of our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and a pushing out of these corrupt cronies through a variety of ways outside of the electoral system. Until we do that, we're not going to be able to save our country. But this is also linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. I want to encourage you guys to take a look at that. Also linked from Peter Schiff. Sorry, it gets a little bit worse. It's going to get worse, right? So Jeffrey Tucker and Brownstone is recapping the past 6 years. And Jeffrey Tucker had high hopes for this presidency and thought that Trump was going to usher in the golden era and all of the promises that he made were going to come true. And I think that this is a real gut punch as to what actually happened, right? But it's going to get worse. So if you didn't like a 50% degrading of your dollar, right? So reduction in purchasing power on your dollar. Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because it's going to get worse. This was retweeted by Peter Schiff, who is a regular on the Shannon Joy Show, regarding Chevron and the Chevron CEO and his warnings. And it's stark. He said that physical oil shortages have begun and prices will follow. So we have not even experienced yet the impact of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the outrageously stupid and disgusting war with Iran on behalf of a foreign country, Israel. It's going to get worse. Chevron CEO Mike Wirth, and this is a piece from Mark4XX on Twitter, reposted by Peter Schiff. So you know it's good. Chevron CEO Mike Wirth just delivered a blunt assessment that cuts through the market noise. Traders keep crude prices pinned between $90 and $100 because they believe that the Strait of Hormuz crisis is almost over. The physical facts on the ground tell a far more dangerous story of collapsing inventories and shortages that have already arrived. And this is the CEO of Chevron. So this is the market psychology trap. Traders see the conflict as closer to the end than the beginning, and they expect that flows will begin to resume. That belief has kept the back end of the futures curve artificially low. The psychology here has so far prevented prices from moving towards the much higher levels the supply shock would normally justify. So the markets are behaving erratically. The markets are behaving in a way that is emotional and psychological, right? But it's not reflecting the reality on the ground, says Mike Wirth. The inventory reality. So this is what's really going on. Crude and product inventories are steadily drawing down in locations around the world right now as I speak to you. June and July are going to be critical months as the trajectory heads straight towards the bottom. The data shows a clear and concerning path that cannot be wished away. It cannot be explained away on Fox News Business. It cannot be used, or it cannot be explained as, a gaslighting technique from this president and his administration. The reality is the reality, and you can't erase that, says Mike Wirth, the CEO of Chevron. He says the data shows a clear and concerning path that cannot be wished away, and here is the evidence of the shortage. Physical shortages have already appeared in some Asian markets. We've seen, this is a quote, we've seen rationing and adjusted work weeks imposed in affected countries, and the system is carrying powerful inertia, and turning it around will not be easy or fast. They're saying here that fuel inventories in the U.S. have reached their lowest levels since 2003. Refineries are running at maximum utilization while record exports continue to support allies, and seasonal demand is rising into an already extremely tight market. So this is the unprecedented scale of all of this. 20% of the world's energy production has been cut off for nearly 100 days. 1 billion barrels that should have been in the market are simply not there. This is not a normal cycle. These are not usual patterns, and things are not going to happen in the usual way. Here's the bottom line. Mike Wirth makes it clear that the current price calm rests on hope rather than physical reality, and the risk of genuine shortages spreading is rising fast. And this impacts everything. This impacts everything. Everything. Get ready for a spike in prices again. If you don't like paying double, right? Twice as much for everything since 2020 in the lockdowns. That's the brownstone piece. That's where we are now. Ramp it up now another 25% because of this insane war in Iran and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, and increased demand for energy because of these horrifying, grotesque data centers in the land grab. I mean, they are throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this economy. They're going to crash our economy. That's what they're fixing to do. I think they want the economy to crash because that creates the crisis. You have no money, your bank account goes to zero. Who knows? If we have a sovereign debt crisis and the dollar is no longer the world reserve currency, as Peter Schiff has been talking about, every rule, the entire game, the entire board is thrown into the air. The pieces are in the air. Nothing. It's the wild, wild west. The signs are there. The signals are there. What do you guys think about that? We're going to go to a quick break, and then we're going to close out the show. We have about 10 minutes left in the Shannon Joy Show. We're going to talk about David Leach and his piece, Strident Conservative. Trump is using defense spending to line the pockets of his family business. So as they destroy our economy, they are plundering all the way down and lining their pockets. And this is why I don't think that Donald Trump is worried about the midterms. There are only a few options there. Why wouldn't Donald Trump care about the midterms? He is shedding support at a breakneck pace. There are only a few reasons. Number one, maybe he knows that he's going to be a lame duck. Maybe he knows he's going to be impeached. That's going to be a great show, isn't it? Little more razzle dazzle. Donald Trump gets to spend the last 2 years handing over his administration to the technocrats, the techno-fascists, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Larry Fink, Howard Lutnick, Mark Zuckerberg. They take over the government, coup d'etat. We have a parallel governing system driven by AI, and Donald Trump just pretends to be impeached for the next 2 years. And we have the circus sideshow in Washington, D.C. Why would he care about midterms if he knows what role he's going to play for the next 2 years? Maybe they are going to impeach him. Maybe it's going to be quick. They're going to rip that Band-Aid off and J.D. Vance comes in and takes over. And he's the head of the technocracy, right? He doesn't even have to run for president. They usher Donald Trump out. He goes to Gaza where he's built up his magnate, right? Donald Trump has secured for himself and his family basically a fiefdom, a tech fiefdom in Gaza that he runs through the Board of Peace and the new currency that he's created, USD1, which is a crypto, right? So he just gets rich in Gaza. They've already raised it for him. They've demolished everything in Gaza. He's already on the books with Jared Kushner, planning to build it up again and create a Trump-style casino haven in Gaza. So he's not. Why would he care about midterms then? If he's just going to hustle out to Gaza and cha-ching cash in, right? Or maybe he's not worried about the midterms because he's been told, you know what? The American people are on to the fakery that is the two-party political system. They don't trust their elections anymore. They think they're all rigged. And well, so we don't need elections anymore. And we're just going to do away with that. Let's just install you in power forever and make you king of the United States of America. And if you think that can't happen, think again. Because people like Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller and people around Donald Trump have been preparing us for that type of situation where they simply declare war on something or declare a national emergency and just say, well, you know what? Because of the national emergency, we just have to cancel elections. And we never have them again. All right. Those would be the only reasons why Trump would not be worried about the midterms. And that should worry all of you. It should worry all of us. So when we come back, we're going to continue this and more. I want to hear from all of you. If you're watching on Substack, Twitter, leave a comment. I want to hear from you and read your comments. If you guys have questions or comments on the Rumble live chat, I see a lot of you commenting. It's very active there. I want to hear from you as well. We're going to go to a quick break. Then we're going to close it out. We have about 5 more minutes in the Shannon Joy Show. And so we're going to end this in just a minute. We'll be back right here on the SJ Show.
This is Jennifer with darkbags.com. I wanted to show you one of our newest products from Escape Zone. This is our satellite Faraday sleeve. So it actually will fit your satellite phone, which we've noticed that there wasn't any product on the market that perfectly fit them. So we decided to make them ourselves. And it has this Velcro closure right here to close it up. And that makes this dust and water resistant. So what's nice about this Faraday pouch is that it'll protect against any EMPs. So your device your emergency device actually will always be protected in here as long as it stays in here. You can take it out for everyday use, but if you're not using it, we recommend that you store it in here. Again, this is available on darkbags.com.
Hey everyone, I am so proud. Hey everyone, I am so proud to recommend Shift Gold to this audience as the gold standard for metals purchasing and investing. I couldn't ask for a better partner to help people understand gold and silver and use them as strategic instruments to protect their family's financial future. Peter Schiff's teaching on markets has shaped my understanding of how economies grow and why they collapse. And I've used them as a critical source for my daily broadcast for over 10 years. The Shannon Joy Show audience already knows and loves Peter because he has been such a treasured educator over the years. He is now the preeminent source for rock-solid financial analysis around the world. And this is because he understands the immutable laws of natural markets and his stalwart unwillingness to veer from absolute truths regardless of economic fads and political pressures. Bottom line, he doesn't sell out. And that means a lot to me. I trust Shift Gold, and you can too. Go to shiftgold.com/joy today to get started. You'll find some of the lowest spot prices for gold and silver and critical information on protecting your retirement savings with a gold or silver IRA. That's www.shiftgold.com/joy. Hedge against the chaos with our friends over at Shift Gold. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. I'm going to hit the live chat on Rumble. Mark the Regan with a great question. Shannon, why cancel elections when they have them rigged already? That's a really great question, Mark the Regan. And I believe it's because they do need consent of the governed. They still need buy-in from the little people because there are so many more of us than them. And if we were all awake and aware of what was going on, we could easily overthrow them through civil disobedience, peaceful noncompliance, a refusal to comply with unjust or unconstitutional or immoral laws, through boycotts, strikes, tax strikes, you name it. There are a million things that we can do if we were all, or if enough of us were awake and enough of us were aware. Then we could organize together, and they don't want that to happen. So they need to keep elections in place because it gives the illusion of a democracy. It gives us the illusion of choice. It lulls our senses. It makes us complacent, and we think that we have a choice. It's kind of like this. It's the illusion of choice, but it keeps us in our place. Say, when my kids were little, I wanted them to eat vegetables. I'm the mom, like, king mom, queen mom, and they're the kids and they have to eat their vegetables. But, if I force them to eat the vegetable that I want them to eat, they'll push back, they'll cry, they'll give me a lot of trouble. But if I give them a choice, right? If I say, hey, you can have peas or carrots or corn, which one would you like? Then they're engaged. They're like, okay, I have a little control here, and I'm going to pick the one that I like. And they'll pick the peas, the carrots, or the corn. Then I give them the corn. I've essentially given them their vegetables, and they didn't even know it, right? But they had the illusion of choice, so that made them feel good about that choice, right? Well, as a mom, you can do that with your kids, but that's not the way it should work in a democratic republic or constitutional republic with elements of democracy. We should not be given false choices. We shouldn't be tricked or lulled into thinking that we have agency. We should have actual agency. But over the course of 250 years, they have, degraded through a lot of collusion and corruption and consolidation of power, especially within the two political parties. They've been able to completely rig and control that process. And now, finally, 100 years in, or 200 years in, we're kind of waking up to it because it's the most corrupt it's ever been. I do believe that there was a time in this country when there was real democracy, that there were real votes, that people did have agency, that it was, rule by consent of the governed, that these certain practices or these certain elements of our Constitution were in place. And that was because we had the laboratories of democracy. We had little governments all over the country. The federal government, Washington, D.C., had very little power. It was all devolved to the states, and the states devolved most of it to the municipalities. It was what Alexis de Tocqueville explained in Democracy in America, where he said, I thought that I was going to go to Washington, D.C. to see this brilliant government that made America so prosperous, but it wasn't the brilliant government. Washington, D.C. was a swamp full of unimaginative people, I think was how he termed it. He had to go out into the colonies to see how America really worked. And what he found was the municipality, the local government. And he said, these people really believe in this stuff. It's crazy. Like, they take this very, very seriously. And that was essentially democracy. It was, that was his famous piece. So the point being with all of that is that they keep the elections around because it gives us the illusion of control. But once that falls apart, once everyone knows that all the elections are pretty much rigged in a variety of ways, then they lose that control. We just stop voting. We stop paying attention. We do other things, which we're beginning to see aspects of. When that happens, it gets a little dangerous because they'll do away with elections if it does not work as the psyop that they intend it to be. So we either recapture our elections, and there are a lot of ways that we could do that so that people trust them. A lot of that goes back to, I think we should go back to paper ballots, like actual paper ballots that are publicly counted. And so you can see it. It's not the secretive process. No more machines, no more electronic ballots, none of that. There are ways that we could secure our elections from the local level that would encourage people to vote, and they would believe, the outcomes were valid. But we might be past that. I don't know. I really don't know where this is going to go. It is interesting though. But that's why they keep them around. I believe that the elections, they will do away with electoral politics if enough people wake up and realize that they're rigged. And that's when they'll start, into the feudal technocracy. That's what they think is going to be the next governing system. So we went to, the feudalism, which was monarchs, kings, queens, nobility, landed gentry. Then we moved into democracy. And I think they want to move us into a feudal technocracy, techno-fascism. I think that's what they want the 21st century to be about. And they're going for it for sure. But remember, even in times of even in feudal times when they had kings and queens and nobility, they still feared the people. There was such a thing as the angry villagers and mobs, people with torches and pitchforks who would go in and they would go after the nobility if things weren't going right. So they've always been, for thousands of years of human history, the people who want to control things have always been afraid of we the people, the masses, the citizens, because there are just so many more of us. And they still are today, but we just have to wake up from the ways that they try to control us and find each other. And that is how we take back some of our freedom, right? And we can do it. There are times of enlightenment and freedom throughout human history, and that's what we're going for here. Dino Fun, I'm not sure they'd be bold enough to do away with elections. Well, they wouldn't say it out loud like that, Dino Fun. They would say, oh my gosh, we have an emergency. It's World War III. A nuclear bomb has dropped. We're in nuclear war, some deadly pandemic. I don't think that's going to work again. And they would say that the election is going to be postponed. 2 weeks to stabilize the country, 2 weeks to win the war, something like that. So they're not going to be like, oh, we're never going to have an election again. They're just going to postpone it. And then they postpone it again and again and again. We saw how they did that during COVID, right? And it took us about 1.5 years to wrestle ourselves out of lockdown. So I could see them doing it again. I could absolutely see them doing it again. Gaelic Monkey, great to see you on the live chat. By voting for these criminals, you are consenting to their criminality. Gaelic Monkey, I agree. Be My Valentine is with us. Hey, Fidgety Guy, great to see you. CJP Rumble and block grants and foreign lobbying. Yeah, all of those things need to be ended, but first you need people elected into office who actually do what they say they're going to do. And we can't seem to have that right now. So we're going to have to do it ourselves. That's the unfortunate truth, guys. Here on the Shannon Joy Show, we rip the Band-Aid off. I've been saying this for 10 years and I'm dragging my audience along, kicking and screaming. But eventually everybody knows that I'm proven to be right because I'm willing to acknowledge what the reality is on the ground. And essentially I'm a realist. Silver Country, thank you so much for the $5 donation. You are amazing. So appreciate you. I so appreciate you. Let's finish out. We're almost done here. Well, we're not going to have time for it. We'll do it tomorrow because the show's over. Sorry, guys. We're running out of time. CJP Rumble, take the primaries back. It needs to be directly dictated by the locals. I think we need to get rid of electronic voting machines. I think that would go a long way. And then we need to, super localize the electoral process. Garth Hilton, organize at the state level to end primaries for state conventions. See Daniel Horowitz. Daniel Horowitz has great ideas. I'm loving Daniel Horowitz lately. Highly recommend his daily podcast, The Conservative Review, for the Blaze. He's awesome. And pull up this. I want to give strident conservative enough time to go through his piece. Trump using, there it is, defense spending to line the pockets of his family business. It's just like systematic boom, 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 all the ways that they are like just absolutely plundering, cheating, stealing, looting, plundering. I mean, you name it. And the difference between the Trump administration and the Biden administration is that the Biden administration tried to hide it. Trump is normalizing it. He's normalizing the plunder of leaders. And that's very dangerous, very, very dangerous spot for us to be in. So we're going to hit that hard tomorrow on the Shannon Joy Show. And we're also going to look at the data centers and a few other things tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for being with us today. For those of you who donated on the live chat, I so appreciate you. If you're watching right now, please give this show a thumbs up. Follow the Shannon Joy Show, like or comment. It helps us with the algorithms. And of course, please patronize the amazing sponsors of the Shannon Joy Show, the Satellite Phone Store, Peter Schiff and Schiff Gold. Of course, our friends over at the Wellness Company, twc.health/joy. That's twc.health/joy. When you are shopping at the Wellness Company, make sure that you use the JOY promo code. It's going to get you lots of goodies, free shipping, a percentage off of your order every single time, whether it's an emergency kit or ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, whether it's a second opinion. So many people are benefiting from the telehealth that is provided at the Wellness Company. If you don't trust the opinion of your doctor, if you want a second opinion, if you don't trust a diagnosis, this is a way for you to go out, take control of your own health. You can get your own second opinion at the Wellness Company. The emergency medical kits are absolutely amazing. The contagion kit, every American needs an emergency medical kit in their home. It is an amazing source of peace of mind. You will have the life-saving prescriptions that you need, antibiotics, things like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. Sometimes in an emergency situation, certain medications are hard to get on purpose. You don't have to worry about that when you are prepared with that emergency kit. In fact, one of the listeners of the Shannon Joy Show mentioned that she purchased her emergency care kit about 8 months ago and has already used it 3 times. How amazing is that? Sometimes you just need access to that prescription. You don't have time to get to the doctor. It's such an easy process. You go to twc.health/joy. That's twc.health/joy. And you sign up. You have a consultation with one of the Wellness Company doctors. They work out all of your prescriptions, get them ready for you. You assemble the kit, and it is in your home, on your doorstep, about a week and a half later. It is such an easy process. And with the Joy promo code, you're going to get $60 off your emergency kit. It is worth every penny. People absolutely love it. And you'll get $60 off plus free shipping when you go to twc.health/joy. That's twc.health/joy, and absolutely use that JOY promo code because it's a huge discount. Garth Hilton, thank you so much. I so appreciate you. Praise God for you, Shannon. Hey, praise God for all of you. Praise God in general, right? We have put our hope and our trust into political idols, political entities, political parties, institutions, organizations, when we should be putting our hope and our trust into God. God will protect us and God will deliver us if we simply ask him to and stop idolizing these political idols, idolizing money and institutions, all those things. We have misplaced hope and misplaced trust. And I'm so thankful for all of you. I praise God every day for the fact that I get to come here to all of you and be completely honest with you. I don't have to cater to foreign lobbies like AIPAC or Israel. I don't have to cater to a political party. I don't have to cater to a billionaire backer. I can just tell you the truth. God has given me that gift, and I am so thankful for it. I get to be myself with all of you, and it's an amazing blessing. I'm thankful for this platform. I'm thankful for this microphone. I don't believe I earned it. I think that it's been given to me, gifted to me from God for a period of time. And when he takes it away, he takes it away. And I'm totally okay with that. But I really appreciate all of you. So guys, thank you so much. CJP Rumble, I see you. Thank you so much. Everyone join me tomorrow. Mark your calendars, set your agenda, 12:15-ish Eastern time. We're going to be live again right here in the Shannon Joy Show. We're going to get into this piece from David Leitch, the strident conservative, about just how bad the grift is, how horrifying. It's legalized plunder. It's legalized theft. It's criminality coming from Washington, D.C. We're going to go through that tomorrow. We have a bunch of other stories to hit as well. So I'm here with you all in these crazy times, and I appreciate all of you. So thank you so much. Have a great afternoon. We'll be back to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show tomorrow.